right now. So we will be recording the webinar and posting the recording as well as the slides on our website and be sending it out afterwards to everybody. So don't worry if you have someone that wanted to join that was unable to, they'll be able to watch and view the slides afterwards. During the webinar, if you guys want to use reactions, you can do so at the bottom. There's a little reaction. You can kind of clap or thumbs up if you like something you heard. And we have our other staff member, Enosa Avery, will be joining us. She is here. She will be monitoring the chat for questions. So if you guys have questions throughout the webinar, I please ask that you pop it into the chat. She will do her best to answer questions there. And then if there are any that we'd like to ask at the end for Brett and Jessica and out loud for the group, we will definitely ask those out loud for everybody. All right, and next slide. So just going over today, we are going to be joined by Just Food of Douglas County to go over their inventory system in Link2Feed. Go over a little bit about the inventory system. They are going to do a demo for you all and go over a little bit of reporting and some benefits of the system, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. All right, so I'd like to introduce you our guests today from Just Food of Douglas County. This is Brett Salisbury and Jessica Cooney, and they will be taking over from here. Welcome, and thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Brett Salisbury. I am the Director of Finance and Development for Just Food. So just a little bit about what I do for the organization. I assist in a lot of different endeavors related to finance and development. I handle a lot of grant writing and grant reporting. I oversee our accounts payable and receivable and general donations. And I'm also in charge of our data management.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Cooney. I am the Client Services Manager at Just Food. I don't know if we've said it, but we are located in Lawrence, Kansas. So we're smack dab in the middle of the country for that little intro earlier. If anyone's familiar with the University of Kansas, that's where we are. My job at Just Food is to oversee a lot of our federal food programs. So CSFP, which we know is senior commodities, any sort of SNAP enrollment that we do. We work with a variety of partners and school pantries, so that is under my job as well. And then kind of the big one is I oversee our client database, which we use Link2Feed. So yeah.
All right, so just a little bit about who we are as an organization. So we are Just Food. We were founded in 2009. We are the central food bank and food pantry serving our entire county here in Douglas County, Kansas, as Jessica was saying. Our mission statement is to end hunger in our community, and we do that in a few different ways. We do that through increasing access to healthy foods. We do that through reducing barriers to health and well-being, and we also do that through cultivating self-sufficiency. All of our programs are designed to support that particular mission statement. We partner with over 30 local organizations, most of them nonprofits, to operate a network of food pantries all across the county to increase access points for individuals who are experiencing food insecurity. So that's who we are, just on a general kind of overall level. But again, we have a lot of direct client service programs, and Jessica is going to tell us a little bit more about those.
Yeah, so one of the things I love about Just Food is that we are a pretty unique organization in that we operate both as a food bank and a food pantry, which means, you know, out the back door, we're distributing to partner organizations all across the county, but then also families are able to come in and go directly into our food pantry. But some of the other programs that we offer, our very first program is called Just Cook. It is run by our program director and is a kind of variety of cooking classes around the community. So we host them for both our clients that come in and shop, but then also work with Boys and Girls Club, some of the senior centers, the local public library, a women's rehabilitation center, all sorts of different areas to teach kind of the basics of cooking and how to be self-sufficient. Along the same lines, we have 2 community gardens where people who use our services are able to have their own plot, and they are really able to grow whatever they'd like. We help provide any equipment needed, any sort of starter plants that they would like. And it's really awesome because then we see kind of a reciprocal things that they are growing and they maybe aren't using, they end up donating back to Just Food for other people to use, which is really cool. Pots and Pantry is a referral-based program for people who are moving out of maybe a shelter system or into their first apartment, where we're able to kind of set them up with some basic kitchen items to really get them started. The next one, Just Basics, it is a program that I run. Within the last 2 years, we have become partners of the National Diaper Bank Network, as well as the Alliance for Period Supplies. So what we realized is, we were receiving hygiene donations and they were flying off our shelves. It was one of our most requested items. And we know that, health and well-being is more than just food. So reducing those barriers, we've been able to help provide period supplies as well as diapers to our families, and just has been really wonderful. Our next program there, called Just Health, was started by our community health specialist. She is a certified health education specialist, and basically what she does is she sits down one-on-one with people who would like to have a meeting, and it's really all about setting attainable goals. So not just necessarily are we making sure that you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, but are you also getting enough water? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you making sure you're having time for mindfulness in your day, and viewing, your health as really this kind of holistic whole thing. And then finally, the Cruising Cupboard, that is our mobile pantry. So like I said, we are located in Douglas County, Kansas. Lawrence is the biggest city. Like I said, there's 2 colleges here, around 100,000 people, but then there's also a few surrounding rural towns. So our Cruising Cupboard is our mobile pantry that we're able to take out to those smaller areas and maybe areas of Lawrence that aren't as necessarily accessible for people who are accessing our services.
So, who we serve. On a broader level, Just Food serves anyone who expresses a need for our services in Douglas County. We used to have an income requirement. We used to require that our shoppers, our clients, were living within 185% of the federal poverty line. But at a certain point, we started to realize that that actually was too segmenting. It just made our services inaccessible for folks who needed it just as much. So we waived that requirement at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it has not been reinstated. But between our on-site pantry and all of our partner agencies in the community, which I think we'll cover a little bit later, but these partner agencies are, as Jessica was saying, in schools, in the 2 local universities, and elsewhere. Through that entire network, we served over 20,000 unique individuals last year. And that's a very high percentage of individuals who are living in Douglas County. So if anyone needs assistance with food, we're here for them. That's our central principle, and we will not be able to end hunger in the community if we don't live by that. So that's who we serve. Now I think Jessica will talk a little bit more about specific demographics.
Yeah, so what's really awesome is that these charts were pulled directly from some Link2Feed reports. So that has been such a benefit for us, is being able to really use Link2Feed to show the community and others the impact that we're making and really tell the story. So as you can see from our age group, we are predominantly serving that 18 to 64 years old. That is our biggest chunk. But then we have quite a few kids who are in schools. Like I said, we work with a variety of school pantries. And then for household size, predominantly the smaller households, so households of 1 and 2, those are our biggest demographic, and then going up from there into kind of the family size. And then for gender, we're seeing pretty much a pretty equal split, but ethnicity is something that we wanted to highlight. So Douglas County is around 80% white or Caucasian. So as you can see, the people we're serving, only 52% are white or Caucasian. So we're really seeing that, you know, this is proof that food insecurity affects BIPOC populations more in our counties specifically. And, you know, we see it across the country that this is something that affects those populations more. So this has been really great for us to tell the story and say, yeah, this is happening. These are the people it's affecting.
So what did we do before Link2Feed? You know, we didn't start using Link2Feed until January 1st, 2020. So up to very recently, we weren't using the system. So before then, we had to have some way of tracking everything that we were doing in terms of our, you know, our client visits and food donations, food distributed, you know, a lot of what we're going to talk about today with the inventory system. We, for 10 years, used an in-house volunteer-created database through FileMaker Pro. And while it was effective for us at the time, eventually we started to notice that there were some difficulties in using something like that. Mainly, we had one volunteer who created the system, and they were really the only person who knew how it worked from a design perspective, from a reporting perspective. And, you know, she was here all the time and actually still is a volunteer with us. But that became something that was very tricky. She couldn't be here all the time. And sometimes, you know, with it being housed on an independent server, it would crash and we would have absolutely no idea how to fix it, how to get it going again. And it was just something that was very, very difficult for us. So the idea was presented to us to use a cloud-based model. And Link2Feed was the perfect match for us because of the services that it provides. So we now are able to use it for everything that you see here on the slide: client information, pantry visits, food donations, food distributions, along with waste tracking as well. And again, we moved to that system on January 1st, 2020, and it has been definitely a lifesaver since then. So now we're going to showcase the inventory side a little more specifically, kind of take a little bit of a deeper dive and show you what it looks like and how we utilize it here specifically at Just Food.
Yeah, so you can see on the right side of your screen there, that is an example of what our food recovery sheet looks like. So just as other kind of standard food banks, we collect from grocery stores, other organizations, farms, individuals, you know, anyone who wants to donate food. And the way we break it down, as you can see there, we print out these sheets, usually just half-page sheets, and we break down into 6 categories. So the nice thing about Link2Feed is that those categories are completely customizable for however your organization uses it. This is what we've used in the past and it works for us. But when a donation comes in, everything gets weighed and then broken down into either non-perishables, fresh produce, meat and frozen proteins, all other human food, non-food and pet food, and then bread and sweets. And so then we take the temperature and the weight, whoever it's coming from, and those sheets are then collected and are entered in by some data entry volunteers when they get a chance.
Yeah. So here on the screen, you'll see basically what this looks like on the inventory side after donations are entered into the system. Food donations are tracking food donations are an important part of what we do here. It's required part of our audited financial statements. It's considered a financial asset. And we have to ensure that we are tracking every single, that way we can have correct reporting. We utilize it for grant applications and so many other usages. So you can see a little bit about what that looks like here. Just Food receives approximately 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of donated food per day. Obviously, that does vary, but we also have food recovery on the weekends, and we have food drives that are occurring throughout the community. It really runs the gamut as far as where those sources are and how much we're getting every single day, but it definitely is the thousands, in the thousands every day.
One pretty cool thing that we started this year with the city of Lawrence is we are piloting a program to compost our leftover or unusable produce. So since March, we've been part of this program seeking to curb the amount of food waste that our organization has. And through Link2Feed, we are actually able to track compost as a distribution instead of under the disposal section. And then we've been able to report that to the city, which has been really awesome. We are lucky that the city chose us to pilot this program and really see the kind of recycling of food back into our community.
And then we have our partner agencies that we distribute food to. So we've already talked a little bit about the food coming in as well as compost. And so this is essentially kind of linked with compost, where the food is going. So we track every single organization that is picking up food from us and other supplies too, because we don't just have food. But we are able to track that very easily through the Link2Feed inventory system. As you can see, we have a wide variety of partner agencies. There's 2 of the universities that are in our city, as well as a healthcare facility too that has a what's called the care cupboard. So that's their particular food cupboard that they have where they serve their clients as well. Again, we have over 30 partner agencies, 19 school pantries, and we're able to very easily track how much is being given out to each organization through the partner agency distribution part of the inventory system.
And then finally, food waste tracking. So there's a network of food banks in here. We all know that food waste does happen. You can see from our kind of breakdown, the most is bread and sweets. But we are able to, track the spoilage or excess that is weighed out before being thrown away between the compost. And then we also work with a variety of farmers who will pick up, like I said, our main form of waste then becomes the bread and sweets. But being able to track it and see the numbers every year, it really helps. And we are continuing to reduce our food waste each year. So that's really great.
Now we want to do just a little bit of a demo. This demo won't take very long, but we want to show you what it looks like when you're actually entering a donation into the system on Link2Feed. So I'm going to pull that up now. Let me go into Link2Feed here. And so this is the first screen that you come to. Obviously, organizations who are already using client intake or some other part of Link2Feed, this will look very familiar. But you'll click on the inventory system here, where you can do everything that we've been talking about. You'll see the menu here on the left-hand side, where you can have a lot of access points to all of the functions of Link2Feed inventory. What we're demoing here specifically is the products in. So we're going to go to product in and then products. These are the specific products that we're talking about. And this already shows you what this looks like on the whole. And you can see how it's organized. You can organize it by date and the receiving organization that actually donated the product, as well as its weight and value, which are other, colorful fields in Link2Feed. So to enter donation, you go up here to the corner, you click on New Product, and that'll bring you to a screen that looks like this. And you just need to select the receiving organization. So this is the organization that is donated, has been donated. So it's all in this drop down here. Let's say that we received something from our local Hy-Vee store, so Hy-Vee on Clinton Parkway. You can adjust the date here to say when it is exactly that you got the donation. I'll just keep it as today. And then you also are required to put in the invoice date. There are some organizations through their invoicing system in which they invoice things with a different date than the actual date of the donation. So you can do that. For the vast majority of the time, though, we just place the invoice date as the date where the donation comes in. And then down here with this dropdown, you'll see those same product designations that we discussed before. So those 6 different categories that we were talking about. There's also a 7th category. This is how we track food drives. We can say if we get a food drive item donated to us, we can designate that they were from a food drive here. But let's say we received from Hy-Vee a non-perishable donation. After it's weighed in, we see that it is, let's say, 200 pounds of non-perishables. So you'll see that is added there and automatically populated in. We can then add another product. Let's say Hy-Vee also donated some milk or other perishable products. So then for us, that would be categorized under other food. And we can say, let's say they gave us 200 pounds of that particular type of donation. So you can add as many of these fields as you want. You can just continue to add those products in. And then at the bottom, you'll just need to click Save. And then that will bring you to a details page where you just need to confirm that the details are correct for whichever donation you're entering into the system. This is still editable later. So even if it's not correct somehow and you catch it later, you can still edit it very, very easily. But you just have to confirm the details are correct and then go down to Confirm. And then once it's confirmed, you can go back to the product and entry. And you'll see that it is now live in our system here. So that is right there. And then on this side over here, you can generate a quick receipt for that if you would like to. You can also just view it. And then the orange button at the end is there for if you need to edit the donation later, which has occasionally occurred there. So that's basically what entering a donation looks like. Jessica, did I miss anything that you noticed?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, when we were setting up the database, we really this is how we used our inventory system before. It was something that worked for our organization. So it was really nice that Link2Feed was then we were able to customize it and not have to change the way that we were already doing it, because we knew it worked for our organization. But pretty much everything in here is customizable. Under administration, there is a variety of lists. So whenever you need to add a new organization, a new individual donor, new categories, anything like that, you can go in and customize and add people in that way. So I think that was the only other thing.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back over here.
So then, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The next thing is kind of the reporting. So Brett and I, in our jobs, we each use kind of 2 different reports within Link2Feed. So I help run our partner organization. So I use our distribution report. we didn't show the sheet, but basically the way that organizations pick up from us is we are still a small enough organization that they are able to come into our warehouse and shop for the items that they know that they can use. And then just as we weigh in everything, we use the same categories to weigh out. And the organizations fill that out. And then once a month, I run a distribution report to see where we've distributed to that month. And then it's really easy for me to be able to pull those organizations and, you know, send a report reminder or whatever else we need to do to get in contact with them. Or, you know, if an organization ever needs the numbers of how much food that they've distributed over the course of a school year or whatever, we're able to pull that really easily with a distribution report as well. And then I'll let Brett talk about the product report.
Yeah, so the product report is something that I use all the time because it gives you an overview along with very specific information about the amount of products that are donated to us each month. And you can customize this report a little bit, and you can also see it by different categories. So the total product received by specific donors, as well as donor categories. So if you want to see how much is coming from farms versus grocery stores versus food drives versus individuals, you can see all of that information. And you can also see it by the general product name categories too. So you can adjust it based off of whatever date period you want to see. I have a monthly report that I have to pull for our accountant to see how much product was donated to us. So you can do it based off of whatever date range you want to see, and it'll pull up how much has been donated in that period by every single organization. It's obviously very easy to see the overall amount, along with a lot of other pieces of very, very important information. Now, I also use that report on a quarterly basis. As the director of development, one of my tasks is to ensure that our donors are receiving tax acknowledgement receipts. So I basically export that list from the product report showing all of the individual donors from that period, and then I mail merge it with their addresses, which we have in another spreadsheet, and then from that, we're able to generate those tax acknowledgement letters, which are, again, serving as receipts, and send those out. So again, we do that on a quarterly basis. And the product report, I mean, I live there for a lot of my time. I have to pull those reports a lot and take a look at that information because it's so important, and it's incredibly easy to use as part of the inventory system.
Next, we're going to talk about just some of the inventory benefits. So, you know, it's easy and simple to use, user-friendly design, and is really teachable to new staff and volunteers. Just Food is a small but mighty staff. We have 10 people on staff. When we started using Link2Feed, I believe we were only at 6 or 7. And so we really rely on volunteers quite a bit. And it's, you know, an easy system that they are able to pick up and use. The reports offer a lot of flexibility and are quick to produce. And then being able to have all of our information housed together with both of our client side and then our inventory side has just been, great. Some numbers that Brett pulled here, just kind of for statistics, the number of pounds donated to Just Food in 2020, you can see there 977,600 pounds. So far in 2021, we've composted over 14,000 pounds. And then the distributions to partner organizations in 2020 was close to 121,000 pounds. So like I said, we're small but mighty and move a lot of stuff through this building.
Yeah, and we're only able to track it because Link2Feed is so easy to use. We can't underscore that enough. And also underscoring that a little bit, just to kind of look at a kind of a case use scenario. The COVID-19 pandemic obviously changed a lot, and it changed a lot within our organization. And we are so incredibly thankful that we switched to this cloud-based model before that happened, because I don't know how we could have done it otherwise. For a little bit of context, in March of 2020, a lot of organizations had to close. This we felt was not an option for us. We needed to adjust our operations in some regard, change how we were working in order to ensure that we could still get food out to folks that needed it in the community. So in the very beginning, we switched to a curbside distribution model. So folks pulled up in their cars from being in line, and we loaded them up with food. And the database that we were using before, that in-house volunteer created database through FileMaker Pro, we would not have been able to use that outside the building. It would have been impossible. So I can only imagine what we would have had to do otherwise. But because we're able to use Link2Feed on our phones, on iPads, we could still check people in very, very easily, track food donated, do everything that we needed to do in order to function on a baseline level, because Link to us through its database. So yeah, we can't say it enough, but being able to use that database us to just stay focused on the work that we needed to do at that time. And that's pretty much it for what we had to present. So we are happy to take some questions if there's any questions from anyone.
Amazing, thank you guys. I was going to see Anosa, do you want to start off with some questions? I know there was quite a few that will be for Brett and Jessica.
Sure, so we'll actually start with those and kind of work backwards. Christopher from Channel 1 had a question about using the inventory system for your client shoppers. Are food taken by clients being taken out by category then, or is this the program just from the warehouse side?
So it is the inventory side. When our partner agencies pick up, they are weighing out the items. When we're distributing directly through our food pantry, we are not weighing any of the food out as it goes out.
Okay, great, thank you. And then I have a different question related to, I know we got a couple of things related to the 31 food categories for Feeding America. So just wanted to clarify with that one specifically, food banks are required to report their inventory to Feeding America, but for pantries, typically only provide their inventory information to their food bank for commodity programs for the purpose of that. So you could align the inventory to match the Feeding America food groupings. You just would need to make those categories in the inventory. And then I have a question here from Jacqueline from Maryland. I'm hoping that this is for Just Food, but the question was, are your partners interacting with the inventory application at all?
No. So any of the partner organizations that we work with, when they are signing food out, they're signing out on a paper form, which then gets entered into our system later. We are a food bank, but the network, they are all pretty much operated pretty individually from us. So we're there to just kind of support and distribute, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think there is one kind of exception to that though, Heartland with the care cupboard, right? So the care cupboard, again, is our food pantry that is inside of a healthcare facility. And the folks who are running that pantry inside the facility are using Link2Feed as kind of like a satellite in order to, I guess this wouldn't be for the inventory side, which is probably your question, but as far as like checking in clients and logging those visits, that is the one other place where it is being utilized.
Great, Thank you so much. And then I have another question from Eileen. Is there a place in the inventory system to add information? Oh, sorry about that one. That was for me. I'll come back to that one, but while I have just food, do you input food that is purchased in a different area? And then how do you take the product out of your inventory?
So as far as the purchased food, we basically track that separately. We could put it into Link2Feed, and this was a discussion before. We would just need to very clearly delineate in the system that it was purchased food and not donated food. That way, we're not accidentally reporting purchased food as part of that donated food number to our accountant. So I think that the way we thought about doing that is by putting in the individual organizations and saying, like, say we're buying from Hy-Vee or buying from somewhere, we would need to say Hy-Vee purchases as the name of the organization. I think ultimately we decided that it was a little too complicated for us, so we just basically track all of that separately.
Okay, and then lastly, I did want to come back to the question about adding in the nutritional value. We don't have a set way to do that right now. However, one of the ways that you could do that is you could enter that information yourself. You can enter that through the product notes of your products.
All right, is there any last questions? I think we tried to get them all there. I know there was quite a few that were popped into the chat. I just wanted to see if anyone has any last questions for Just Food or Link2Feed on our inventory system. If not, I think, Brett, if you could go to the next slide, please. Just some next steps for everybody. The inventory system is part of our Link2Feed premium package. So if you are interested, if you are a network, please contact your account manager. And if you're an agency of an enterprise or direct customer, you can submit a demo form online through our website and we can get back to you there. But that's it from us. I'd like to thank Inosa, thanks for monitoring the chat and questions there. And Brett and Jessica, thank you so much for going through your inventory system, how you guys use it, and some benefits it has given you in this past year. Thanks so much for joining us, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for an informative session. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for the information. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, guys.